Welcome to the Sports Bash pre-show presented by Unique Golf, located at 365 Union Boulevard in West Islip. They have been voted the best on Long Island for their selection of new and used golf equipment. They pride themselves on a 30-year history of offering the best quality clubs in the hands of every player and at a price they are comfortable with. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. We welcome back Vinny Tickets after his little sabbatical, so welcome back.
Yes. Couple of days off, and I'm feeling it.
You feeling it?
Oh, yeah.
You feeling a good feeling or a bad feeling?
No, I feel pretty relaxed.
You feel relaxed, refresh, R&R?
You know what? Traveling a long way, not a long way, but 2 days to get somewhere and then work all day long and still run the business at night, it's just tiring.
It's tiring. I get that.
But it's all good.
Absolutely all good. And on the show later on, we'll be joined by Premier Lacrosse League star and Long Island native Myles Jones, who plays for the New York Atlas. We'll take your phone calls at 631-451-1039. We have a double dose of Free Ticket Friday today. We'll be giving away 2 tickets to see the Mets at Citi Field against the Oakland A's on August 13th, and we'll also have 4 tickets to see the PLL Semifinals at Hofstra on September 7th. We'll check our Sports Bash Media poll question and have this day in sports history. Time for the Sports Bash Flash, brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner is located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash and get that free dessert with your meal. And let's lead off at a packed Citi Field last night, where the Mets and Braves were tied at 2 in the 10th inning.
Johnson set a look at second. 2 outs, 2-2 game in the 10th. The 1-0. McNeil swings, lines the ball in the air, right field line. Long run over for Laureano, a sprint. He reaches up. He cannot make the catch. It falls. Jose Iglesias scores from second base, and the Mets in extra innings win the game 3-2.
Still trying to figure out how that Braves right fielder did not catch that ball. Keith Redd on WCBS 880. The Mets have now won 4 in a row, 5 of 6. They're a half game back of the Braves for the first wild card spot. After that hit, it was a happy Jeff McNeil, and manager Carlos Mendoza likes the sound of that.
We've been seeing the happy Jeff for a while now. Look, he's a big part of this team, and it's good to see him continue to get results. So yeah, happy Jeff, that's what we're calling him.
Mets and Braves again tonight at Citi Field. And the big ticket item, Vinny, in New York yesterday was the Billy Joel concert last night at Madison Square Garden, the final show of his residency. But you watch that Met game, you turn it on, and the Mets coming off of the sweep of the Yankees, you knew the fans were excited. They packed Citi Field last night for what was a big game.
They sure did, and they were into it. That crowd was, lots of Metsies out there. They're starting to believe.
Absolutely. And the remainder of the 4-game series this weekend, and I'm sure Citi Field will be packed tonight. It's fireworks night, and then tomorrow and Sunday again. Yankees were off last night, mercifully. They begin a series with the Red Sox tonight in Boston. Softball, the Rise opened up their playoffs with a 7-0 win over Florida. They move into the winner's bracket of the tournament in Chattanooga. Atlantic League, the Long Island Ducks beat the Staten Island Ferry Hawks 10-3. At the Olympics, the USA women's soccer team opened up with a big 3-0 win over Zambia, so that was good to see. And it follows the pattern of what goes on in World Cup soccer. The men don't do well, the women do, and the Olympic men's soccer team opened up with a loss, the women opened up with a win.
Yeah, it seems to be always the same way over and over, but I guess that's life sometimes.
Hopefully the United States hires the right men's national team coach to get this team ready for the World Cup. But obviously it's a lot to talk about. The Mets and the Yankees, the Olympics are going on, and we're going to welcome in Myles Jones in just a couple of minutes. But Billy Joel last night, I know you weren't here. We talked a lot about it yesterday, about the significance. Now, it's not like he's not going to perform anywhere else again.
Stay tuned for today's announcement.
Absolutely. So there'll be something going on, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but certainly not doing the monthly residency anymore will certainly free him up, his availability to do some other things here in the area.
Yeah, to travel and, possibly do some bigger venues. Last night was absolutely insane. I had probably 15, 20 texts throughout the night that people said it was just an amazing night. The place was electric.
And he had Axl Rose was there last night.
Yes.
Jimmy Fallon stopped by. So if you were fortunate enough to be at Madison Square Garden last night, and I don't think it necessarily means he'll never play Madison Square Garden again. Again, it's just the residency is over. He could always go back to the Garden.
He could announce today that he's playing in September.
Absolutely. Let's welcome in our radio audience right now.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Welcome to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Sports Bash brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. Visit them at martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. Vinny Tickets also back with us after a couple of days off. Coming up on the show, we'll be joined by Premier Lacrosse League star, Long Island native Myles Jones of the New York Atlas. It is a double dose of Free Ticket Friday. 2 Met tickets coming up and 4 tickets to see the PLL Semifinals on September 7th at Hofstra. But first, I say good morning again to Vinny Tickets.
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. Good to see you. Welcome back. We'll take your phone calls again, 631-451-1039. We'll check out Sports Bash Media's poll question of the day, and we'll have this day in sports history. The Premier Lacrosse League semifinals are coming back to Long Island. They'll take place on September 7th at Hofstra University as part of Free Ticket Friday. We'll take the first caller right now at 631-451-1039. And if that's you, you'll win 4 tickets to that semifinal doubleheader. And we all hope, all lacrosse fans, New York, Long Island, around the tri-state area, that the New York Atlas are participating in the semifinals that weekend at Hofstra Stadium. On the line with us to talk about this is one of the star players of the New York Atlas. He is a Long Island native and a member of the Suffolk County Sports Hall of Fame, Myles Jones. Myles, it's Peter and Vinny. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us on the show this morning. So it's been a good season so far for the Atlas, 5-2, and in first place in the Eastern Division. How much fun has it been for you to play on this team, and now that you have New York in front of the Atlas as opposed to just being the Atlas in recent years?
Oh, man, it's been awesome. I mean, the team is loaded all over the field from front to back. You know, it starts with our face-off guy, Trevor Baptiste, who he's been dominant this year. We're great in the goal, and we have really good balance all over the field, and the team's been fun to play with. We have a good mixture of vets, young guys, and our coaches staff has been phenomenal putting us in the right spots to be successful.
You've got 8 goals and 5 assists for 15 points, but obviously a lot of the offensive attention on your team goes towards Jeff Teat, who I had a chance to know a little bit when he played for the New York Riptide in the National Lacrosse League. And I guess if you speak to 100 different lacrosse experts and you say who's the best player in the world right now, you probably get some different answers. But a lot of people will say Jeff Teat. For you, what's it been like playing with him?
I mean, sometimes you get caught up in the fact that he does so many ridiculous things and makes these unreal, highlight plays that you kind of get excited about being the guy who gets the front row seat to that. But he's been really, amazing this season, playing poised, playing aggressive, which is something that we haven't really seen from him. And he lets the game come to him, and when that happens, our team is really successful. As you can see, he's lighting it up. He's been able to put the ball in the back of the net himself, but ultimately, obviously, set up the team, his other teammates for success, putting the ball in our sticks when it's time for us to score goals.
Yeah, it's always great to have a leader like that on the team. So when you talk about this season, it seems like the teams were all assigned to local markets, and you're still using the traveling model, if you will. So over what time frame, or do you think eventually that we'll see the teams play a traditional home and away schedule anytime soon, or what kind of time frame would we be looking at for that?
I think in the next 3, at the most 5 years, I think the league will move to us being a full New York market, which would be really exciting because obviously I grew up in New York. I love getting back up to New York, and while traveling is great and we get to see new cities and be in front of different fans, nothing would be like being able to play in front of a true New York fan base. And being able to run on the field with that New York across the chest and make that pride mean something.
So when you travel outside of New York, I know that the Long Island area is it is a hotbed for lacrosse. But, being a New Yorker myself, everything revolves around New York. I'm very New York centric. But do you find as you travel across the country and as you see different cities and different states, when you leave New York, is Long Island considered outside of New York a hotbed for lacrosse?
I think all of New York is considered a hotbed for lacrosse. When you look at New York as a traditional lacrosse area, we have so many of the best players that have come from our area, especially when you look at just overall, just the pro game. Look at how many kids are in college lacrosse playing. Long Island is and will always be the strongest, birthplace of where lacrosse players come from. When you look outside, you obviously do see, a lot of kids from the Pennsylvania area, the Maryland area, but for the most part, Long Island and all the state of New York has a strong hold on producing the best players in our game.
We're talking to Myles Jones of the Premier Lacrosse League's New York Atlas here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. This weekend, the PLL is in San Diego, California. You guys will be playing the Philadelphia Water Dogs on Sunday at 3 o'clock. I know you guys are coming off of a tough loss last week, and how much are you looking forward to getting back on track this weekend?
Yeah, we're excited. I think we've been here before where we came off a bye and didn't really perform as well as we could, and, like I said, we've been here before. Last time the result was that we won a game 17-4, so we came out with a vengeance, our foot on the gas, and we played a much more aggressive and complete game. I expect the same thing from the squad this weekend, playing up in San Diego against a league opponent.
Myles, Vinny touched on it before that you guys are still in the touring model, even though now you've got markets assigned to the team. But I just think it speaks to the progress this league has made since it started under Paul and Mike Rabel, how they've built this league. Obviously, the predecessor, Major League Lacrosse, was around for a while, but it never really achieved the national notoriety that the Premier Lacrosse League has been able to achieve in a very, very short amount of time. And I know you've been involved since day one with this league, and you've been involved in the sport for a long time. Can you speak to how much of an imprint the league has made over the last 4, 5, 6 years since it started, since Mike and Paul launched the league?
Yeah, so the biggest thing was obviously viewership. So once we got the deal with ESPN, that put the game on the forefront of national sports, allowing us to play on the major network. We play on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. So while we're getting all new eyes and the faithful eyes of the sport on the game, that allows the game to grow. Obviously, when you see lacrosse for the first time, even if you've never seen a game in your life, the game is entertaining. It's fast. It's fun. So we're gaining new fans. With that being said, we're also traveling to new markets and giving a taste of lacrosse to new markets that don't necessarily see lacrosse all the time, which has been huge. Obviously, across the social media, being able to bottle up the sport of lacrosse and give it to the avid sports fans has also been huge. So we're just touching on three major pillars that allow for this game to grow, and I think that was something that the league was missing in years prior. But Paul and Mike have done a really good job of being able to reach fans and bring in the avid sports fan who may not know about lacrosse but just found a new favorite sport.
Myles, I know you also played football growing up here on Long Island, and I'm just curious if you want to share the story about how you got involved with lacrosse, and is that a story that you tell young players that may be thinking about picking up a stick for the first time, that it's a really fun sport to play and it's a sport that can get you somewhere?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played football and basketball growing up, and those were obviously two sports that I started playing prior to playing lacrosse. So those are the sports that I gravitated towards when I was a young kid. But when I picked up lacrosse stick, it was because my teammates on my football and basketball team played lacrosse, and that's what they did during the spring. And like every young kid, you want to hang out with your friends. So I picked up the lacrosse stick because of those guys, and I think that the opportunities are endless. I think when you look back at my life and the trajectory it took once I picked up the lacrosse stick, I'm forever grateful for starting playing the sport.
Well, listen, Myles, thank you very much for joining us on the show. I was a little disappointed that they gave the home weekend for the New York Atlas to Albany, and I know that the team represents all of New York State, but I'm glad the semifinals are here on Long Island, but I know you guys wound up playing 2 games in Albany as your home weekend. I would have preferred had that weekend been here on Long Island so we could have seen the Atlas play a couple of games.
Absolutely, but listen, we're going to work hard. We're going to get our team, squared away and on a good run heading into the playoffs, and we'll see you there.
We'll see you at the semifinals September 7th at Hofstra Stadium, the Premier Lacrosse League semifinals. Myles Jones from the New York Atlas and a Long Island native. Myles, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Good luck this weekend, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Myles Jones
Great
from
job.
the...
Thank you, Myles.
Thanks, Myles, from the New York Atlas. Myles Jones, a Long Island native, and as Wiz pointed out to us before the show, a member of the Suffolk County Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is.
And well-deserved, and a great athlete growing up here on Long Island. Still lots to do on the program coming up. We're going to have the second half of our Free Ticket Friday. We've got some Mets tickets to give away. We've got This Day in Sports History, the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and we'll talk Yankees and Mets at 631-451-1039. All that coming up. Stay with us on Facebook and YouTube through the break. We'll be back with more right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets, back during our commercial break here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Again, thanks to our guest, Myles Jones from the New York Atlas, for joining us here on the show. I kind of touched on this, Vinny, earlier in the show, talking about the big ticket that Billy Joel was last night at the Garden, but the Mets had a great crowd last night. When do you sense on the secondary market that a game is out of nowhere explodes? Not that it was out of nowhere because it was a big series against the Braves, but clearly coming off the series sweep over the Yankees, Met fans got excited and bought out those tickets last night.
Yeah, it was. There's always ebb and flow in the market, and you know what, Peter? I don't think I'd be sitting here if I knew the answer to that. I'd be out on my yacht. I'd be drinking a strawberry daiquiri, enjoying the sun rather than going to work.
But you just still have to be a working Joe and show up for work every day. But obviously that was a great scene last night at Citi Field to see it was packed. And I know the Met fans wanted to be there, and I'm sure the Met players appreciated the fact after delivering against the Yankees that Met fans showed up in big numbers last night at Citi Field. We've got some Met tickets to give away coming up on the show. We'll be back and welcome back our radio audience in just a couple of moments. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. 631-451-1039 is the number to call. Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets. We'll have WizKid Vinny in just a moment with This Day in Sports History. But first, it is time for our second Free Ticket Friday giveaway of the show. We had given away Premier Lacrosse League semifinal tickets earlier on when we had Myles Jones join us here on the show. And now it is time for Met fans. Are you excited? Are you pumped up? You want to see your Mets in action? You want to see your Mets in action for free? Well, we're about to do that for you right now, courtesy of TicketBash.com. 2 field-level tickets to see the Mets and the A's on August 13th at Citi Field. And the interesting note here is, obviously, it's a pennant race game for the Mets, but with interleague play, obviously, you don't see the A's coming to Citi Field all that much, and this will be the last time that the A's come to Citi Field as the Oakland A's. So that's a little bit of a treat as well there, too. So big game, Mets and A's, August 13th. Wiz, how many games in a row have the Mets won?
They've won their last 2 games against the Yankees.
Right.
They've won all their games since starting.
No, I was looking for a number, like how many games in a row. I know the answer. I wanted to see if you knew the answer.
I think it's like
it's 4.
5.
It's 4.
4 or 5.
It's 4. So the Mets have won 4 games in a row, and we're going to take the 4th caller to match that winning streak at 631-451-1039, 631-451-1039. The number to call if you are the 4th phone caller. You'll see the Mets and the A's at Citi Field on August 13th. It is now time to check in on the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We post a new poll question every weekday on the Sports Bash Media X Twitter page. First, the results of yesterday's poll question. And Vinny, here's what we asked yesterday. What is Hal Steinbrenner, the Yankee owner, going to do after getting swept by the Mets? So we had 4 choices. Nothing, he's counting his money. Fire Brian Cashman, fire Aaron Boone, or tell Cashman to make trades. And the resounding winner of the poll is nothing, he's counting his money, sitting there at his palatial Tampa estate. 81% of the vote went to that. 17% went to telling Brian Cashman to make trades, and then 1% each for firing Brian Cashman and firing Aaron Boone. And honestly, that seems to be the sentiment of most Yankee fans, unfortunately, including myself, that Yankee Stadium is packed every day. They're selling merchandise left and right, between Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. And what impetus does he have to do anything about what's going on?
Well, keep in mind that it is a streaky game, and we talk about that. But if this happens season after season after season, they better be prepared to see those attendance numbers really tank. So you got to get behind this organization now. You got to make some trades. You got to pick up that we have a lot of needs now. As we look at the lineup, we have a lot of needs. You have to do something. I don't think that if it's anything like father like son, I don't think he's just sitting there counting his money. He's got to know that this is not.
I disagree there. I think he is totally unlike his father, because again, it's kind of a silly argument. We hear it on sports talk radio. We see it on social media. Well, if George was alive, this wouldn't be happening. Well, George is not alive, and it's not the appropriate thing to say. But it is true. Hal and his father have 2 different point of views in running a baseball team, and I think Hal, to a certain extent, leans a lot on the Yankees front office to get advice. And if he doesn't feel he needs to open up that checkbook any more than he needs to, because he is on record saying the payroll that the Yankees have is not sustainable over a long period of time. Well, you know what? Quite frankly, I see Yankee Stadium filled every day. It's $50 to park your car. It's a lot of money to buy food at Yankee Stadium. It's a lot of money to buy souvenirs. So the crying about not being sustainable, you know what? Again, it's kind of a silly argument. We wouldn't be hearing that from, what we'd be hearing from George right now? My fans deserve a winning team. My fans pay a lot of money, their hard-earned money, to come to the games, park their car, enjoy the games. My fans deserve a winner. And right now, we're not delivering on that, so we're going to do something about it. See, that's what George would do. But
that's what George would do. You are right.
Or he would say, you know what? Aaron Boone's a fine young man. I like him. He's a good guy and everything, a good family man. But right now, the team's not winning, so we're going to make a change. Brian Cashman has won a lot of championships as the GM of the Yankees, but you know what? We haven't won a World Series since 2009. We have to make it. See, that's what George would do, but he's not here to do that right now. So it's up to Hal. Hal, are you going to show the fans that you want a winning team, or are you just going to sit there counting your money? And that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, you never see any emotion out of him either. I mean, at least, when we're talking about George, there was always emotion involved. There was fire, there was energy, there was passion.
Yeah.
Right? You don't see that
No.
right now. You don't see
He's hardly ever at Yankee Stadium, and that, to me, I don't get it.
We hope he's a Yankee fan.
Congratulations to Christian of East Islip. You're going to see the Mets and the A's on August 13th at Citi Field. Now, today's poll question. Now that Billy Joel's Madison Square Garden residency is over and came to an end last night, what area stadium should the Piano Man play first? Because now his schedule's a little freed up with no monthly residency at the Garden. So here are your choices: Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, MetLife Stadium, or other. and we'll get the results tomorrow. But yesterday on the show, Art Stapleton, the Giants beat writer for NorthJersey.com, kind of intimated that he's been hearing that MetLife Stadium next summer for Billy Joel. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's a big venue. The challenge that you have with these big venues, when you talk about MetLife, Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, it is very, very, very difficult to get a great seat to see those shows at a stadium. It's just tough. There's not a lot of great seats. So hopefully our listeners took advantage of seeing them at, I personally am shocked that the Long Island venue, UBS Arena, didn't make our list.
Well, I said stadium.
Well, suggestion. We said Yankee
I've already
Stadium,
gotten a couple
Citi Field, MetLife.
Somebody already commented UBS Arena, and somebody already commented Jones Beach.
Ooh,
So
Jones Beach is Long Island. That would be the place for him to play.
Maybe I should have put that in one of the choices. But in any event,
Write it in.
All right, whatever. You know what? I make mistakes in life. It happens once in a while. Time for This Day in Sports History. Here's WizKid Vinny. We did not leave him with a whole lot of time on this.
No, we didn't.
Thanks, Peter. No problem, because on this day in 1988, Mike Schmidt, the legendary Philadelphia Phillies third baseman, broke the record for the most amount of games played at the position with 2,155. However, his day was spoiled as the Mets would beat the Phillies 6-5 in extra innings. But hey, for all we know, these two might meet each other in the playoffs.
Absolutely, and thanks, Wiz. And we will, by the way, good job again this week on Stump the Wiz. Even though you did not get the question right, you gave it a very, very good effort. And I was surprised you got 2 out of the 3 because I thought it was a really tough question. But a good job nonetheless. And we'll see how you do next Wednesday, July 31st. And Vinny, it's not only Stump the Wiz Wednesday next Wednesday, but we've got a great in-studio guest next week. We're going to be joined by Long Island native and former American Idol contestant Kevin Coveas. He is going to be in studio with us next Wednesday for the whole half an hour. He'll, we'll ask him to take part in Stump the Wiz. Maybe we'll have a bonus question for him. But he's a huge sports fan, big Yankee fan, big Jets fan, big Knicks fan. He was living out in California for a while after American Idol. He's now back here on Long Island and doing some other things. So maybe we'll get him to loosen up the vocal cords and do a little singing for us here next week.
There you go. Well, you can't rely on any of us to do that.
No,
so
not at all.
We have to bring the talent in.
I was talking to him about this yesterday. I went back on YouTube to look at some of the songs that he sung the year that he was on, which was season 5 on American Idol, and maybe we can get him to reenact a couple of the songs that got him to be a finalist that year.
That's a great idea.
And doing Long Island proud. He's from Levittown, and we're excited to have him in studio to talk music and also talk sports next Wednesday, July 31st. That will do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Sports Bash is sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, this is Peter Schwartz saying thank you for watching and listening. Sports Bash returns Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everyone. Big weekends for the Mets, home against the Braves, and also for the Yankees trying to finally get back on track against the Red Sox at Fenway Park this weekend. We'll see what winds up happening. And you never know, maybe we're talking here Monday morning about the Yankees making some sort of change on Monday after maybe they get swept by the Red Sox.
Maybe a bench-clearing brawl.
We'll see. Something's got to light a fire. We'll see what happens.
Happen.
Hey, have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you Monday morning.